natural gas. I'm for all of it. I'm for solar, I'm for wind, I'm for hydro. You name it, I'm for it. I believe that American energy is one of the greatest fields we have to do business in the United States. Open it up, access it, let's have it all. We can do it responsibly. You see, it isn't that hard if you try. That's why the next President of the United States has to be able to understand the problems of the nation, understand and be able to apply the solutions, and have the political will and courage to see it through and make it happen. My entire life has been spent dealing with economics and economic issues and with the business world, and I'm so proud of being able to have had that in our background. But in my time in the United States Congress, I've also been privileged to be appointed to the Intelligence Committee. We're a very tiny committee as we need to be because we deal with the nation's classified secrets. And as concerned as I am about the economy, and that will be the issue for this campaign, I am probably equally, if not more so, concerned about what I see in the foreign policy arena. Because in the time that the President has been in office, he sent some extremely dangerous signals to the rest of the world about weakness in the area of foreign policy. And I say that with all due respect, but I also say that with every ounce of conviction that is within my being. Because I want you to know, as President of the United States, I will stand with Israel. Recognized Israel. It was the greatest act that he could have done to tell the rest of the world that the United States recognizes Israel, and the world needed to recognize that the United States would be there in a form of backing for Israel. That has helped Israel to maintain her sovereignty and to maintain her independence. Every president since then has stood with Israel and has had Israel's back in a very tough neighborhood of 26 hostile nations that have surrounded Israel. That is until May of this year, when Barack Obama called upon Israel to retreat to her indefensible 1967 borders. You wonder why we have had the hostilities of this Arab Spring. And now we have seen the Turkish nation expel the Israeli ambassador. And we saw President Mubarak fall while President Obama sat on his hands during that falling. And we've also seen now the rise of radical elements all across the Middle East region. And we're also seeing a tentativeness now with the peace treaty that Israel and Egypt have enjoyed for the last 30 years. These are very perilous times that we're looking at. Oh, that must be the exit music right now. I'll have to wind up. But these are perilous times. And again, something that we need to keep in mind as we're moving into this next election. Our nominee for our party must stand squarely and clearly with the best interests of the United States when it comes to foreign policy. And one thing that I want to conclude with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan won the Cold War because he understood something. He understood that for the United States to remain and be the #1 military powerhouse in the world, and I happen to believe that the world is better when the United States is the #1 military powerhouse in the world. The United States also had to be the #1 economic powerhouse of the world. We remain in that Monetary Fund that within 5 years, we will be eclipsed from that perch. I am here to say that I think 2012 is that window of opportunity when we can again reclaim economic greatness, when we can reclaim our position as the military powerhouse in the world, and we must, because we are facing threats from around the world. The United States' dominance is in our overhead architecture. That would be with the satellite systems. No other nation can touch the dominance that the United States has in space. But here again, Barack Obama has weakened us when he made a declaration that we would not be able to access the International Space Station because the shuttle program will no longer be with us, and we won't have a way to be able to get up to the International Space Station. Do you know how we have to get up there? We put our thumb out, and we have to beg pretty please to the Russians, may we have a ride to be able to get up there? Now, what do we have that is circling the United States and circling the globe? Satellites. We have satellites, and we have many sensitive satellites that are up there. What have we also seen? China has blinded with a laser one of our satellites. So this isn't too hard to figure out this scenario. If we have a nation that blinds a critical component of our overhead architecture and our dominance, and we have no way to repair that satellite because we're busy hitchhiking, do you see that very quickly we could lose that dominance? Who now, which nation is seeking in an absolute all-out effort a new military presence on the globe? China. China is seeing that military presence. And while I want to have peaceful relations with all nations, I also believe that Ronald Reagan led the way again. He said that we have those relations with adopting the policy of peace through strength. And as the commander-in-chief of this nation, that is my policy as well. My father served in the Air Force, my stepdad in the Army, my brother retired, full United States Navy. I have absolute respect and admiration for our military, and I will make sure that our military is fully resourced because we must maintain the #1 military presence in the world. That is job one. By saying to all of you this evening that I know as a nation, I know without a shadow of a doubt that we together are enough. And I know it won't be just Republicans that go to the polls this fall to take this nation back. I know it will be disaffected Democrats